Well, I don't think it's a matter of being right about it or whatever. You're a player. You're out on the field. You have a right to have your feelings about it because you're in the throes of action. And I've never seen a body that can be lowered without the head joining it. I've never seen that happen. So I understand for a player how it makes absolutely no sense. You don't get to rewind it or slow-mo it or whatever. Out there in real time, in real action, in the throes of competition, you have to deal with that reality. But I will point to you something that I think the NFL needs to qualify or just specify a little bit better. For example, when it talks about the new helmet rule, there's a sentence in here that I paid attention to. Laid out in simple terms, stimulating that, quote, it is a foul if a player lowers his head to initiate and make contact with his helmet against an opponent. And basically, I think if you're the NFL, what you're saying is this. All you're really trying to say is you can lower yourself all you want to. Just do everything in your power to convince us that the first point of contact that you're trying to utilize to tackle a player is with your shoulders instead of your head. That's what you're saying. If you were to specify that, then all of a sudden, I don't think everybody could be in an uproar. They'll still have their complaints. You know this better than me, Damian. They can still nitpick about things. But ultimately, if you're the NFL, all you're trying to say is do not let your helmet be the first point of contact from you to the opponent. Don't sit up there and try to spear someone anywhere. Don't try to use your helmet instead of your shoulders, your arms. And if you're a player, for example, of course, if you lower your body, you're lowering your head. Of course, if you lower your shoulders, you're lowering your head. But if you show visually that you're doing everything that you can to make sure this is the point of contact or this is the point of contact to make contact with an opponent as opposed to just diving your head into them, I don't think there's an argument that can be made against a player that puts forth that kind of effort. To that, you say what?
Yeah, listen, I don't think this helmet rule is these type of hits have been going on for a while. Remember in 2013, Gronk tore his ACL on a similar type play.
Who was it? I forgot. I know that kid Swearinger hit somebody. I think who did he hit? It wasn't Gronk. It might have been somebody for the Jets, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, but these type of things have been going on because with all the light that's been that's been shined on concussions and the type of the repercussions from these type of hits, guys have been having their strike zone lower. Now, to your point, I don't think that would work because in football, the trajectory and that target zone changes so quickly that it just wouldn't make sense to have a rule in place like you can't hit below this. It just plays happen too much of a bang bang type of situation. But the bigger point here is this with the helmet rule. The NFL is changing the culture. I'm going to repeat again. The NFL is changing the culture. Remember when we had here at ESPN with NFL Primetime, that segment Jacked Up? Yeah. And it was like the rave of everything. Like that used to be one of my favorite segments with seeing all these guys literally getting jacked up and all those type of things. Yep. That's the last thing that the NFL wants right now. Obviously, with all the information that's coming out with concussions and seeing some of the guys post-career that are suffering from all the residual effects because of concussions. So, listen, players in the NFL, this is a reality that you're just going to have to deal with.
You're going to have to adapt.
You're going to have yes, you will have to.
But that's why. I want to say something
in this situation.
Companies make big decisions all the time without consulting or including all the kind of stakeholders in it, and sometimes they're wrong. But I believe that, and it has to be tweaked what they do, and you only know that empirically. Like, does it work or does it not work? And you gather the data. I think the NFL deserves credit here. Well, they're only interested in their bottom line, like every company. And their bottom line could be affected by injuries. Right, okay, fine. They still deserve credit because it's actually, it requires some courage, some steel to change a rule where you open Pandora's box. Jalen Ramsey, players will be able to blame almost every injury if they so choose on the rule change and point to the NFL. And the NFL apparently is willing to go through that pain for their long-term interests, and I think it's smart of them.
Yeah, but I just want to say one thing, because I have a question about what you propose, because this is what I feel bad for the players. It's one thing if you learn this when you're young. Now it's paralysis by overanalysis, because it's split second you're talking about, bang, bang, and now you're trying to make a decision, how do I hit? So from what Max is saying, where it's, okay, I know I have the zone, I can go after him, how hard is it to lead with your shoulder? It's like one side of you. Like, how challenging is that as a player? I feel like you can't tackle as well versus if you could come straight on.
Well, a lot of this is these guys, again, I want to say these guys are going to have to adapt. It's going to be tough because a lot of things that happen in pro football is memory. You've been doing it, a certain way
old dog new tricks. That's why
you've been doing it a certain way for so long. Yeah. That it's going to take a while. That's why the NFL said, like,
Stephen A. said,
for like
at least
3
not
years.
immediately. At least not immediately. That's the point. So at first it'll be an adjustment period. Like, let's say you had a hit zone. But kids coming up would learn that's okay, and below that or above that's not. And they would adjust. Like, it would change the culture. It happens over time.
But I also think the NFL has to be careful because you could be inviting more trouble than you realize. Not just because you're softening the game to such an extreme degree by doing the things that you're doing, but you're also slowing the game. Let me tell you something right now. It's getting harder and harder to watch football games the more the clock is stopped and the game is paused because of penalties. It really, really is. It's a huge turnoff. And the games are already 3 hours long, so you got to take that into consideration as well. Make no mistake about it. I know the preseason is not indicative of what will likely go on during the regular season. We get all of that, but the appeal of the game is relevant. It's a subject that cannot be avoided because don't get too arrogant if you're the National Football League and believe that people are going to watch our sport no matter what. We're number one and we're going to stay that way because it's 16 games. It's not 82. We're an event every week, etc. You can turn people off by slowing up the game. Just ask baseball.